André, how you doing?
I'm very good, Sam. How are you?
Good, not too bad, not too bad. You missed the last podcast episode.
I did.
I think you were getting married.
I was. I was getting married.
Yeah.
That small event of mine.
I mean, did you not consider the podcast diary when you booked your...
I did, but when I was talking to my now wife, I know, she wasn't very impressed with the thought of me skipping, halfway through the ceremony. But hey,
man, starting marriage doesn't mean to continue under the thumb. Good, I like it.
Sounds like there's a vacancy.
Fantastic. And on that note,
we have today
a very, very special guest, don't we?
Absolutely, Neil Monet.
Good evening, how are you?
Good to have you, Neil. Good to have you. So, Neil, you're from Will Instructions Limited.
Yep, that's right.
And of course, you deal with wills, LPAs, so essentially things to do with our estate after, in our later life, shall we say? Right?
That's right, later life planning, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So, this is it's a great topic because it's something that a lot of us don't really think about. And it's something that more of us should be because, hey, it's ultimately, these are decisions that we need to be making while we can make them.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to hear about the story of Will Instructions. So please, from the top, as we say, and go back as far back as you like, the meatier the better, all right? Tell us about where Will Instructions came from, why you started it, what's the deal?
Yeah, okay, well, that's a great question, isn't it? I've got to start thinking now. So 2018, Will Instructions was born. It's myself, my wife, my business partner Keith, and his wife. Basically, I started my estate planning career in 1993 back at NatWest, back in the day when they had a specialist department that dealt with trusts, estates, discretionary investment portfolios and that like. So I was blooded at a very early age in the industry. Went on, studied, got the banking exams, got my financial exams, financial advisor exams, became a private banking manager, but then specialised in trust, estates, inheritance tax, going out writing wills for clients of the banks. And then 2018, essentially, my wife and I had our little boy and decided I want to give up the city and working for the big institutions and created Will Instructions with wife Christina, Keith and his wife Vanessa, who've all got the same backgrounds as myself, so it's not just a one-man band. And my dad, who's got kind of 50 years plus industry experience in this field, one of the top kind of step technical advisors. He's our technical practitioner, so it's absolutely brilliant. So we've got him on board as well. But yeah, doing it for ourselves since 2018. I'm based in Crawley, so I can cover most of Sussex and the southeast. Keith's in Twickenham, so he kind of covers that area. So and a bit of London as well. So between us, we can go anywhere basically. And with remote meetings now, we can go anywhere. So that's a bit about us. What else can I tell you? We're members of the Society of Will Writers, which is one of the good self-regulatory bodies that most will writers are members of. So I'm subject to their code of conduct, ongoing professional development, audits, all that kind of jazz that goes with it. Yeah.
Very nice. I want to start with a hot topic straight away. Just to put you on a spot straight away.
Right in there.
Absolutely, get right in there. For someone, because I had the privilege of actually watching your work, which was incredible because it's normally a side of the industry and people that you don't get to see. And that was incredible. I think it really opened my eyes to what people should really be thinking about and what they should really be prioritizing. But what would you say to someone who is neglecting that?
Why? Why? And let's have a conversation about it, because everyone's going to die, right? And it's better to kind of plan in a good way rather than leave a bit of a mess for your family and your loved ones to look after when you've gone. I got an email a couple of weeks ago from a lady. She's in a bit of distress. Elderly lady. Her brother tragically died. He didn't leave a will, so the estate's intestate. He didn't have many assets. But the fact that he hasn't appointed any executors, he wasn't married, didn't have any children, she now feels obliged to look after this estate and deal with it. She's going through cancer treatment herself at the minute, so it's kind of, she's doing it out of duty for her late brother. But if he'd just written a will and made a few plans and things like that, then maybe it wouldn't be quite so distressful. So it's scenarios like that. Everyone should write a will, right? It just, from not necessarily as soon as you turn 18, right? But, as soon as you start acquiring monies perhaps, or getting a family and then having the children, and you get a bit later on in life and maybe you retire and your children have left the home, but you want to do a bit more advanced planning, you just put things in place, really. And that's the will side of things. And then you've got the lasting powers of attorney side, right? So wills specifically deal with who you want to look after your estate and how you want your assets dealt with if you die. Lasting powers of attorney are the documents you put in place, appointing the people you want to look after if you can't make decisions for yourself. So often overlooked. Martin Lewis, the money market supermarket guy, he actually says that lasting powers of attorney, in his opinion, are more important than writing wills, and I kind of tend to agree really about that bit. But yeah,
I mean, that's mad to think about, that example that you gave. So I mean, I'm not even going to try and pretend to put myself in that person's shoes, but just thinking about the fact that somebody is grieving the loss of someone so close and near and dear to them, and having to now deal with the stress of, oh, nothing's in place, where's this going to go, the uncertainties around it, when you're still trying to grieve. But that's why put yourself in that situation, right? I mean, of course she didn't put herself in that situation, no. But there's an arc there that is clearly avoidable, and that's a great example to highlight the importance of it, because none of us want to find ourselves in that situation, surely.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to focus, particularly in this case, she's undergoing her own challenges, quite significant, it sounds like. You don't need the stress of the uncertainty with something so consequential.
That's it. And it could be, you're still going to be grieving, you're still going to have those issues there, but at least, things are a little bit more in order. Yeah. Someone's appointed who can make those decisions and instructions. And it just makes it a little bit more easy.
And when you say things like, you mentioned about how LPAs in a way can be more important than, wills. Where's that? What do you mean by that? Where does that come from?
Ultimately, LPAs, lasting powers of attorney. Sorry, I should have probably mentioned that at the beginning. But lasting powers of attorney. So these are the documents that you register with the government, effectively appointing the loved ones to make decisions for yourself. So there's two types: health and welfare, and property and finance. And ultimately, those documents, once they've gone through that registration process, give your loved ones the ability to make decisions on your behalf if you can't. So if you lose mental capacity for whatever reason, and I think there's a statistic out there, don't quote me on this or have any come back on it, but I think someone suffers a brain injury, one every sort of 9 minutes or something like that. So it's not just the old through, losing capacity through Alzheimer's or other conditions or whatever. It's brain injuries through sports activities or whatever. But the consequences of not having these in place and registered with the Office of the Public Guardian is again, your loved ones have to go through a process to be appointed your deputy. So all the while they're doing that, someone else is making decisions for you. So again, it's kind of you're in control, and having that and those people that you would like to look after you if you couldn't make those decisions. And surely you want to have that input rather than maybe someone else asking to have that role that you rather wouldn't do that. And you can customise it, bespoke it. So it's so important just to think about it. It's almost like an insurance. It just sits behind the scenes. Hopefully nothing happens, but if it does, people can then step in and look after you.
And I guess some people like you say, maybe you don't want to be in that scenario where decisions necessarily being made for you in a way that you wouldn't necessarily want. And there probably are a subset of people out there who just think, well, do you know what? I don't really mind. Like that's not really something that bothers me too much. But at the same time, no one else knows that.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're, next of kin or whoever, was there to say, actually, well, we know that, my son, brother, sister, whoever, actually they wouldn't mind too much about X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, that's equally as valid.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It's equally as valid to have that in a document that is, as I say, registered with the government, something that everyone knows who to go to, and that person knows full well what that person would have specifically not wanted. It's a lot of it is to do with what we don't want to happen rather than what we do.
Yes, absolutely, and you're absolutely right. Touch on it there. Your choice of attorney is so important. You would you need to give it careful consideration. Who would you want to look after? If you couldn't make those decisions, or
But I think it's so important, isn't it? And I feel like more from the people that get left behind, the people that get left here, or the people that then need to look after what you have and make the decisions for you. Because I feel like you touched on it, and I've seen some situations where nothing was put in place, and there was a particular one where the person died, and the siblings themselves, they didn't get on, and it was literally like a horrible scene,
Yeah.
and I feel like people tend to forget that side, which is, yeah, it's fine. Your stuff will go to someone, or your decisions will be made by someone, but who is that someone going to be?
Yeah.
And you kind of need to leave the people that stay behind at peace, or at least with a plan of action, or at least they know what's expected from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's good. I mean, choice of executors, that's always a good conversation when I'm helping people write their wills. When we talk about who would you like to appoint, most people, typically married couples, would appoint each other, but then their children possibly as future alternative executors. But it's always worth asking the question, do your children get on? Because on second death, you're leaving them in that situation to deal with your estate. If they don't get on, and that's potentially exacerbating a situation or a relationship you don't want to deteriorate further. So that's a conversation you should be having with clients. And even if you don't want certain individuals to inherit monies, you should potentially have that conversation with them during the lifetime if you can. But to help the will and to support your wishes, you should always sort of do a private letter to the executor, just explaining your rationale, why someone maybe is not going to inherit or get as much as what they were maybe expecting. So if ever they do contest the will, then there's some support for it which can be considered. But there's no guarantees that the will won't be contested and they won't honour the wishes, but at least it helps in that regard and gives them some guidance here.
You gave a really powerful example of when things like this aren't considered, what can happen. Have you got examples of where you've actually seen a lot of really good things come out of the fact that this has all been done very robustly, or some clients that have come back to you and said, oh yeah, thanks Neil for sorting this out for us because this has made this so much smoother, or that sort of thing?
Yeah, no, we've we've been doing it. I've been doing estate planning for 30 years, so throughout my career I've seen some very bad wills and some things go wrong, and I've seen some wills that have done exactly what the family wanted and made it work. I don't think we've ever been tapped on the shoulder and said that's a fantastic will, well done. We have had a few examples of where through careful inheritance tax planning we've saved the family some money by giving them the right guidance, sort of thing. But no, it's we've certainly taken some interesting instructions in our time, which is quite enjoyable when you get those sorts of ones. I had a lady about 6 months ago. She wanted all her jewellery to be basically labelled and then drawn out of a hat by a family. So I had to craft a clause that kind of covered that eventuality. Wow. So all the jewellery is going to get drawn in lots, and there you go. So it's
a
quite
specific size of hat or type of hat.
It could be. I think she had a top hat. I think top hat.
Well, there you go. And I think my next question is basically just out of curiosity. We talked about it's one thing that you just do and you can just put it behind your back and it's there. How does it work with you in terms of, do you from time to time prompt your clients to let them know, look, do you want to make any amendments? Is there any changes? And how often do you suggest someone revisit their wills? Because obviously, we go through life, we're busy, there's things happening. We don't really, especially if it's behind your back and you've done it, you kind of forget about it. Yeah. How often do you think someone should go back and have a read through?
Yeah, well, it could be something happens, a month down the line from writing the will. There's certain sort of events that would make you relook at it and reconsider it. But I'd say probably, if it's an average person, probably 3 years, just have a quick look. Make sure the beneficiaries are still appropriate. Make sure your wishes are still appropriate. Your choice of executors, you haven't fallen out with them or anything like that. Just check those main things. But things like, having children, or a death in the family, or, you've inherited money, things like that are all good. Or got divorced. They're all good prompts to sort of time to review the will, make sure it's all good and still ticking all the boxes. And of course, tax changes. We've got the budget coming up. There's a few things that are rumoured may or may not be happening, which would make you potentially reconsider the will. Client of ours, or our clients, I should not say a client, clients of ours, I write to on an annual basis and just check in with them, make sure they're still there, but also just kind of put some prompts in the communication to them, just sort of saying, look, these are the sort of family events or lifetime events that make you reconsider the will. Just gives them a prompt, sort of thing. Yeah.
So a question I had around the processes around this, right? So with will writing, I'll confess I don't have a will. So I know nothing about the process even to get that started, but I know that you're the kind of guy to go to. But when it comes to the LPAs, right? So you don't specifically need somebody else to sort it out. Like I could sort one out right now,
Yeah,
couldn't I?
absolutely.
I don't actually need to go and seek a person like yourself or a similar company or solicitor to do it. So where does that come in? So why would I say, actually, do you know what? I kind of should go through will instructions or a similar.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I hear it quite often. Everybody can, and I'm quite transparent about that. Everyone can. There's a government portal that you can go on to do your own lasting powers of attorney. Both types, as I said before, property and finance, health and welfare, and you have to do both applications. And there's a portal there, and it guides you through the process. It's quite good, and if you're happy and comfortable using that sort of portals and technology to do it, and you answer the questions and you put the dates and names and everything in correctly, it's fine. The value that I give in the service that I offer and many other practitioners offer is we do that for the client. We take their instructions and we do those applications for them and produce it for them. We also act as the certificate provider, which is really important. So we're the person who's going through a process with clients, making sure they've got capacity to do it and signing off on that to say they've got capacity. So if you did that yourself, you'd have to find someone who'd sign off to say that you've got capacity to do this. So that's part of it. So yes, you can do it yourself. You've got to then go and find someone else to do that. So I would do the applications and act as that very important role. They've got capacity. No one's coercing them, checking in. You've also got to sign these documents in numerous places and have your signatures witnessed. So that's something I do as well. You haven't got to go off and find someone else to act as witness. I do that as well. I also independently check in with the attorneys that they've chosen and the replacement attorneys. I make sure they're comfortable acting. I explain the role of the attorney for them, give them an opportunity to raise any questions or concerns about the donor. So we go through that, and I also help them sign it, sign the documents correctly. I'm then almost doing like a passport check-in service. So even though I've created the documents, I'm making sure all the signatures are correct, it's all been dated correctly. I then ultimately send these lasting powers of attorney off to the Office of the Public Guardian to be registered, and I pay the registration fees on behalf of the clients to the Office of the Public Guardian. And then throughout the whole registration process, I'm acting as a correspondent with the Office of the Public Guardian on the client's behalf. So any questions, queries comes back to me, but ultimately, if I've done it wrong on behalf of the client, I'm the one standing behind that, and I'll pay the fee to get it redone again. I think there was one of these Freedom of Information Acts asked about the number of LPAs returned from the Office of the Public Guardian, rejected,
Okay.
and it was down to them being dated or signed incorrectly.
Okay.
So, that's the valuable service that I add to it. So absolutely, people can do it themselves if they want to, but I think I add an added service to it. I also add important language. Property and finance, I add language that covers delegation of investment decisions to third-party investment managers. So you imagine a scenario where maybe you're attorney for someone and they have to go into a care home, the house has to be sold, but you've got this pot of money now to invest on their behalf to make income or whatever to help pay for the care home fees. So some investment managers won't accept the attorney's instructions unless special language is included in it. Now, if you didn't know about that, you wouldn't know what language to include in the lasting powers of attorney. The health and welfare ones, for example, I also include language in the preference section that covers end-of-life care. So again, I've got that language as a professional that we use. You might not know about it if you're doing it yourself and might not include that sort of direction to your attorneys. This is how I want to be treated if I'm on end-of-life care, life support machines, all those bits and pieces. So that's the kind of value that we add.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, you can do it yourself. Equally, you can write a will yourself if you want to. We've had the case of the fish finger will, where a chap, not Captain Birdseye,
He's still alive, isn't he?
the chap got a fish finger box, and he basically wrote his will out on it, and it was contested, but it was actually I believe I'm right. It was actually deemed to be a valid will. So you can do these things yourself. Excellent. If you want to.
I will save that packet of cornflakes I've got. I was going to recycle it, but here we go. You never know.
Why not? So you get two witnesses. Witness signature, it'll be done.
Witness A, witness B. Done. Yeah, good.
But I think you went quite deep into the importance of your role in the middle of everything. I think it comes down to also something as simple as, it's quite a sensitive matter. You don't want to be thinking about the day you die or the day that you're not able to make decisions. It's a hard thing to put yourself in that position. And going through those portals, I haven't been through one myself, but I can imagine the questions they ask. And then it's uncertain, isn't it? You don't really know, should I answer it this way? Or should I include this? Should I not include that? So I think it's as simple as also just having someone to guide you through, just having someone to ask the questions, because the terminology is hard. The topic is a hard topic. So just having someone there, I think you already gain your value's worth.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, clearly with some of the things you talk about with upcoming challenges around the environment, what's going on in the country, the budget, etc. I mean, some people are just going to never be able to navigate that or really understand what it means for them. So having somebody to help them, A, understand it, but B, make the best decisions for themselves with just the right information that's not something that is just like overwhelming. Like just you talking about all the things you did. Halfway through you talking, I'm thinking, I don't actually understand half of these terms, but I'm glad you do.
But that's the way I like to see myself. I'm not a solicitor. Again, I'm very transparent. I'm not a solicitor. I'm an estate planner. But I there's a time and a place to go and see a solicitor, and I've got the experience now, and I can probably deal with 90% of clients, wishes and what they would like to do. But when they need to be referred on, and because we've been around long enough, we've got excellent relationships with a lot of trusted partner solicitors who we can put in the right direction for the right subject matter that they need to. But equally, if we can't help someone, then we'll find someone who can help them. And look, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. We offer free initial consultations. And if someone doesn't want to engage me, at least you've had an hour talking to me, and you're better equipped to do it yourself or to go down a different avenue if you want to. I like to think I'm that middle ground where you maybe you don't want to do it yourself. You want to appoint someone to help you do it or engage someone to help you do it, but you don't want to necessarily pay extortionate costs and fees to do it. And that's where I kind of sit.
Yeah, and thanks for summarising that, because that really helps to kind of make some distinctions there, which I imagine a lot of people won't necessarily be savvy to. So that's really helpful. I think one thing I will say, obviously, and people who watch the podcast regularly will know that I'm also a GP. Yeah. So, so I encounter the lasting power of attorney, particularly for health and welfare, quite a lot, right? And there's certainly, going back, I can think of hundreds of cases, but the principle of when you've got a decision to make with a patient, and yes, so there may be some issues around capacity. If they've got that LPA in place, you just breathe a sigh of relief. Like as a clinician, it's okay, right, cool. Let's get this moving. Let's speak to the LPA. Let's get some things moving. In those situations where that doesn't exist, it adds a complicating factor. There's no two ways around it. If you've got somebody in front of you who doesn't have necessarily the capacity to make a certain decision or not in that given moment, then it becomes more challenging. Naturally. Now, of course, I'm not going to go into the whole depths of this, but of course we always act on best interests, and we do our best to gauge what should and shouldn't be done. But to have the LPA in place is just a sigh of relief.
It helps.
Okay.
It helps.
It really does. Because you can just know that, okay, I'm speaking to somebody who this person has trusted officially to make a decision on their behalf when they can't, for whatever that reason may be. And there could be people who don't have necessarily brain injuries, dementia, or anything like this. Yeah. It could just be in that moment you can't, for whatever reason. You're incapacitated. You've been, heaven forbid, you've been hit by a car or something and you're unconscious. Okay, for those moments where some key decisions need to be made, you can't communicate that to me or to whichever health professional it happens to be. But if somebody can and is appropriately, it's all been appropriately done, all above board, etc., then great.
Absolutely.
That can really, in a way, I can imagine it can save some time in a really critical way.
Absolutely.
That's a speculative thing I've said, but I can still see so many benefits that go way outside even what I see in my field, which highlights how important it is for us all to be thinking about this.
That's good to hear. And I mean, there's a misconception, isn't there? Married couples just got married. There's a misconception that married couples can speak for the other partner if something happened. That's not the case. You've actually got to go through this process to officially appoint someone to look after. And equally, civil partnerships or whatever, even if you're in a long relationship but not married or in a civil partnership, that person doesn't have the right in the law to make those decisions on your behalf. So you've got to go through this process if you actually want those people to make those decisions. And you can put your head in the sand and just ignore it totally. And if something happens, then hopefully it'll work out for the best. But ultimately, if there's an important decision to be made, the loved one and the person you would like to make it has got their hands tied. It's really difficult.
I bet Andre's sitting there thinking, but my wife says she definitely had control over my estate.
So you've been lying to me? No, as we all know, that she will 100% have control over your estate.
Good. Am I allowed to talk about our experience, obviously without mentioning any names? Or
Go for it.
Yeah, because I feel like it's obviously, like I said, I had the opportunity to actually come in and witness for you.
Oh, I thought I was going somewhere else. Sorry.
No.
Just, what do you mean? Let me clarify that at the beginning.
This is going into unknown territory now. But I had the privilege of actually coming and witness one of your will signings, and it's just, I think it really opened my eyes, like I said at the beginning, to what's involved, to the amount of care that you actually put in, and how much you care about those people. Because even though you had previously, because you mentioned during the previous employment, you went through the contract and everything that's been written and everything that was there, you went over it again just to make sure that they knew what they were doing, that if they were still happy. I mean, it could have been just, okay, here I am, here's the witness, let's do this and that. And actually, you actually took the time. It took us about an hour or so, didn't it?
Yeah.
To go over everything once again and really make sure that they were happy with everything. And that to me was, it kind of reinforced the trust that people put in you and the value that you bring to those people. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's all great. Thanks. That's lovely observation there. But it's kind of, for me, it's a duty of care to the client. So they've trusted me to take their instructions. They've engaged me to do that for them. I prepared the will for them. I want to make sure I record their wishes 100% correctly. I don't want there being any ambiguity or any later on, questions about it. So you go through it. You spend the time. You go through it. Read through it. Can I answer any questions? Can we cover any points that you're a bit concerned about? Are you happy? If you're happy, let's move on and sign it. So that's what I like to do. I try to give that extra value of care, coming from the sort of background that I have. I've been trained in giving client good old customer satisfaction. Client is always right, always first. So I want to do that, and I want to make it right, even when errors are picked up at the will signing. It's very frustrating. But we'll sign the wills and we'll do it correctly, so the markups are correctly if something were to happen to them. But I always like to go back with a fresh will, because I don't like errors in my wills. I don't like markups in my wills, so I'll go back.
Sit right.
Well, my next question for you is, considering the wills and stuff, who have you appointed to look after your fishing rods?
Oh, well, it just kind of falls into the residue of the estate. So there's no custodian of my fishing rods or anything like that. I'll just go to everything to Mrs. Mono on first death, and everything to the boy. If he wants, he'll probably break them before he gets to that age.
Does this podcast count as evidence in case anyone wants to contest it? Because it could be that you change it.
Absolutely,
yes.
Well, I think he's already told me everything goes to him ultimately.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. You've been dictated to. Excellent. So for context, for people who don't know anything about that, Neil likes fishing.
Yes, so it's good pastime. Bit of mindfulness. How about that? You go for the mindfulness. Don't often catch anything, but it's all nice.
It's not about that. It's about the journey.
It's about listening to the podcast.
Spend a couple of hours just sort of out in the open and the fresh air and all the rest of it. You catch a bit of fish, then great. But I particularly enjoy it because I go fishing with my dad and my brother. You get to spend some time with them, which is really lovely.
I'm sure that's a great thing to do. Yeah. Just great quality family time. Brilliant.
You catch something and it's brilliant. We had a great trip a couple of years up to Kilda Reservoir in the northeast, and the place we stayed at had one of these barbecue huts in the garden, and we got the trout fresh out of the reservoir, gutted them and all the rest of it, cleaned them up, cooked them, and they were amazing. They were better than the steaks we had. Absolutely amazing. So
nice. So I'm trying to wonder if any of this passion for fishing breeds into your passion for will instructions. I mean, the fact is, you say you've been doing estate planning of some degree since I was 6 years old, I think, 1993, and so that's a mammoth of experience that you have. Your dad's 50 plus years, but where's the passion for this come from? I'm trying to figure this out, because you clearly are I mean, you are so embedded in this world, the way that you talk about it, and you live and breathe this stuff.
Yeah.
So what drove you to do that?
Do you know what? I it wasn't at school something I thought I'd do. I pretty much fell in it. I was fortunate enough I got a job at the bank. Fortunate enough to get a job in the bank for that particular department and the training. And it's, I suppose it's testament to the people that I worked with, the passion that they had, and that just kind of, you know, it empowers you on. This weekend I was back in Leeds for a reunion. We had a reunion lunch with all the people that we used to work with, and it was great seeing the old faces again and the stories that we had from back in the time. But I think probably that's the closest I can give you to the answer of where it came from. It wasn't at school, you know, one day I want to be an estate planner sort of thing. I was lucky and fortunate enough, I think, to fall into it. Yeah. And I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy doing a good job with people, and I think that goes hand in hand. And you know, just that sort of career path. It's great, and enjoyed it. Long may it continue.
Long may it continue. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So I guess, and you know, there's always we talked about the fishing element, which is I know you spend a lot of time doing that in a really, a very positive way. And I know you've been so humble enough to not brag about the biggest trout you've caught or whatever it may be. But we do have some points of contention, right? So there's a couple of things that, we perhaps don't see eye to eye on. And I think it's worth us being transparent with, with the listeners or the watchers or, however people are consuming this content. But yeah, I mean, if someone was to ask me what are the two things in life that grind my gears, they're two of your biggest passions, So one is Star Wars.
Yes.
Whatever, man.
Yes.
I still can't believe you're not like Star Wars.
Like I've said before, I'm a massive sci-fi nerd. I love every sci-fi thing ever. Just Star Wars can just no.
I'm so glad you're the minority.
Somebody didn't get a lightsaber with them.
I'm broke. I never got a replacement.
I've got the wrong colour one.
I want it blue, damn it. So
and fishing.
No, not fishing. Fishing. I have no bone with fishing. But the other thing is Chelsea FC.
Yeah, Chelsea. What's wrong with Chelsea?
What's right with Chelsea?
So Dad was born in Kensington. Okay. So he's actually on the same page in the same birth register. I think that's the right terminology.
Sure. Same
birth register as King Charles. They're the same age, born in the same month, literally the same kind of day or date maybe. So that's his claim to fame. So he's in the same register at Kensington as King Charles. But yeah, growing up in that area, Chelsea Football Club, strong sort of family connection and all the rest of it. So we went for. I took Emmett, my son, for his first match at Chelsea at the end of last season.
Nice.
Chelsea Liverpool. His mum's a Liverpool fan. We got tickets in the.
We
got tickets in the Chelsea stand. And Chelsea luckily won, and he was out and his mum to the Chelsea fans. So that was quite a fantastic moment. And in next Saturday, it's the Chelsea Legends versus Liverpool Legends match at Chelsea Stamford Bridge.
Wasn't there one recently? I feel
I think the last Legend match was in 2023. But you could be thinking about the last Chelsea-Liverpool match, which was just at the end of the last season. But we're going again.
Okay.
So you can enjoy that. Gianfranco Zola, one of the best Chelsea player, is going to be there. So, yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure we kind of use terms like best and good and... these superlatives don't really work.
We can get you a ticket, Sam. We'll get you a ticket. My boy can out you to the crowd as well.
It's one of those things. I forget why I hate Chelsea. It's not like I actually actively support anyone else. I just like Chelsea. Yeah, it's not like I'm a gooner or anything, right? I just don't.
But on an exclusive then for your podcast, so a big deal is about to be done at Our Lady Queen of Heaven School. Will Instructions are about to sponsor the football team, the hockey team, the netball team, and the basketball team. So
nice.
Our Lady Queen of Heaven will be dripping in Will Instructions shirts soon. So that'd be.
Fantastic. So when are they going to get those shirts from?
So I'm meeting the teacher, Miss Adams, tomorrow. Can have a chat, finalise the design of the kits,
nice.
And then so imminent.
Cool.
So looking forward to that.
Excellent. So what's kind of made you be their sponsor? What drove that?
So my son goes to school.
Okay.
Family connections with the school as well. So my mum was one of the first pupils at the school back in the day. Emmett goes there. His cousins have gone there. My cousins have gone there. So it's just one of those things. Just felt I wanted to sort of, wanted to support them, and that's a good way of doing it and supporting the business as well. So
that's fantastic, man. That's a really good way of giving something back. And all this stuff really helps the next generation. In a time where actually they're sponsoring things like sports and those sorts of activities, I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, another full circle moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, it always happens.
Who knew that Chelsea, Star Wars, and fishing?
and of course, the Our Lady of Grimhaven kit is going to look very much like the Chelsea kit.
Yeah, brilliant.
And every show's going to have Zola on the back.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Fantastic. A little Mourinho insignia on the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Portuguese flag.
Very good.
Wow. So where do you see, I suppose the question is, where do you see yourself and Will Instructions going? What's the next step on your journey?
VAT registration. So we're just about we've just registered, which is a big one for us, really. So we've just ticked over that kind of milestone where we have to register now, which is good. And then, but it's kind of like from where we've grown and you're seeing the income and where we've gone and the client base now. It's really great to see it, and I just hope to go on and help more clients, keep doing what we're doing it well. Inevitably there's going to be changes in the industry and how things are done and best practices, and you just follow and make sure you're up to date with all those bits and pieces. But it'd be nice to kind of leave something for Emmett when he is old enough. He might not want a career in estate plan or whatever, but if he does, there'll be a business hopefully there for him to kind of get involved in when the time's right if he wants to. And if not, then he can sell it and do whatever he wants with it, can't he? But who knows? It's just
a couple of season tickets to Chelsea.
Absolutely. But no, it's. I think certainly I'm 48 now. I can unlock my pension in about 10 years' time. So probably 10 years worth of graft, I reckon, and then maybe Emmett will be almost the right age to kind of just hand it over, and then I can be the old man and I can be the technical practitioner and sort of pop in every now and again, be the Yoda.
Just might as well give it up then.
We need to talk about this after this podcast. I kind of want to know what's wrong with Star Wars.
Again, what's right with Star Wars?
Star Trek?
The dark side. It won't, mate. I'm not going to take you seriously when you talk like that. I know nobody's going to take you seriously.
I hope we're going to have Star Wars music.
I will boycott the edits of this podcast.
In fact, from every episode onwards, we're just going to have a big Millennium Falcon model.
We'll start the episode with the letters, with the text coming out.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That's a good one on the Star Wars theme then. So we look after Christina's mum. So she lives in a sort of an annex in the garden next to us. And Emmett has been taking piano lessons. So he's got a piano. That sounds very posh, does it? Piano lessons. But he has learned the Darth Vader theme tune. So whenever his nanny walks in, he's playing dun, 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 dun. Whenever she leaves, it's the same. He's going to fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
So good. In fact, you know what? Star Wars has redeemed itself just for that moment.
Last question before you go.
Yes.
Just put you on the spot a bit. Any bits of advice, any rapid fire tips for what people should be on a lookout for when they next go to rewrite their will or are about to do it first?
That's a really good question. Put me on the spot. I suppose it's... make sure you appoint executors. Make sure your executors get on. If you've got young children, appoint guardians. Think about alternative guardians in case your choice of guardians can't act. Think about who you want to inherit your estate and how you want the distribution of it to go. But also think about if the main beneficiaries can't benefit for whatever reason. Think of the gift overs. Who do you want to receive a gift if your main beneficiaries can't? And I suppose that covers the majority of bases. Inheritance tax, all the other jazz, it can be built on and come in. But, that's the basics for writing a will.
Yeah, so think about your backups if your backups.
Yeah, backups are backups.
That's it.
We know about that one.
And you can do it on a Kellogg's cornflake box.
It might be a crunchy nut box. I do check.
Or a will instructions, nicely printed,
Oh,
lovely bound,
yes.
quality paper, bang product. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I was going to say Will now. I would spend the whole thing trying to not say Will. Thank you so much, Neil.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
I think you really showcased the importance and value that you bring to the table, especially when it comes to such an important piece of document. Because that's at the end of the day what it is, isn't it? It's a document that's in place to safeguard a lot of hassle in the future. And I think you have showcased a lot of times during this podcast and now outside of this podcast that actually the value that you bring to the table is just outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Make it easy for the loved ones you leave behind.
There it is. There it is. Fantastic.
There it is.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Excellent.
Thank you so much.